back to the story. Baby is like super lethargic, meaning he's, you know, not really like moving around. He's kind of opening his eyes, but really like sleepy, which you would think, okay, yeah, he was just born, newborns, all they do is sleep, but it was just a little weird. So they went ahead and took him into their little section where they weigh him and everything, and while they're like stitching me up and everything, I hear the nurses kind of like talking quietly, and one of them was like, oh, call blah blah blah. So she calls this nurse, and you hear her say, my mom got it on the recording, yeah, so you hear her calling someone saying, you know, the baby's not acting right, basically, they need help. And that kind of got me worried, and I did hear that from when I was laying down, so I started freaking out, and that's when I started crying. And then because he wasn't crying still at this point, so I was just scared, and just scared because I thought my baby was gonna die. Sorry if that sounds dramatic, but he really wasn't acting normal or what you see in the videos or anything like that, so I was just really scared. A nurse comes in and she clears him kind of, and they put him back on me, and we do skin to skin for an hour before we head up to the postpartum room, which was really nice, and I'm sad I didn't get to enjoy it. We get to the postpartum room, a nurse comes in from the nursery, and she was just like, okay, I'm just gonna check your baby and everything, and I was like, okay, I'm thinking this is normal, which maybe it is still, but she took his blood sugar and it ended up being super low. It was like at like 23, 24. It was somewhere really freaking low. So, you know, she was like, okay, maybe he just needs to be warmed up, so we're gonna take him to the nursery, not the NICU. We're taking him to the nursery to hopefully, or to put him under a warmer to maybe bring his blood sugars up. Maybe that's all he needs, and then he'll be fine. He'll be back with you. You can come see him if you want, blah blah blah. So I wasn't thinking much of it. I was like, okay, he's gonna go to the nursery. I can just lay in the room for like an hour, like, you know, try to rest, and then I'll go over there if he's not back already. Eventually I get up after that hour, and I don't even know if it was an hour, I think it was less than that, but I got up, me and my boyfriend went to the nursery down the hall, and we saw him, and he just looked really, again, like just lethargic and not really responsive, so it was kind of scary. And that's when the nursery told me that his blood sugar is really low, the heat is doing nothing for him, that he has to go to the NICU, which immediately I start crying because I was like, oh my gosh, like it's all my fault, like I could have been better on my diet, and I just failed. I failed as a mom, and I just felt so bad because literally I felt like it was just my fault, and I was the reason why he has to go to the NICU now, and why he feels like this, and now he's having all these complications because of me. 3 hours post-delivery, and I'm following the nurse to the NICU, which was up a floor, and oh no, it was on the same floor. It was on the same floor, and I'm just like crying. We had to like take pictures because this hospital is like super secure. So here we are, my boyfriend and I, signing up for the NICU. We're taking our pictures, writing down our visitors list and all that. Honestly, like I didn't really care. I was just like, I want to go see my baby, like I need to know what's happening, you know, I'm worried. I just delivered him. I didn't even get to be with him. Like I held him for that skin to skin, and that was it, and they took my baby. So I just felt robbed of, you know, those first hours with him, and it just, still to this day, I'm just upset about it, and it really sucks. And they took him from me. We get to the NICU. This NICU was like super high tech. It had just got remodeled. It was beautiful. The staff was amazing, and we went to his room. It was all the way in the back, which kind of worried me, and I was like, okay, all the other babies are in the front, and why is my baby in the back? Like, how are they gonna hear him when he's crying in his room? Because in this NICU, they all have their own rooms. So, and then there's a nurse assigned to at least 2 babies, I believe. Yeah, so there's a nurse assigned to 2 babies, and I was like, what if my nurse isn't sitting at her desk that's close to him, and all that. I was just worried and I wanted someone to be with my baby. Luckily, we could stay at the NICU. We could sleep there if we wanted to. They had a couch in his room that pulls out to a bed. They have a TV. They have showers. They provide everything for you. They even give you meal vouchers to go down to the cafeteria and get free food twice a day. I think it was like breakfast and lunch. So that was amazing. So we did that. But anyways, back to the point. He was literally laying on like this little table, and he was so skinny. Obviously he was tiny. He was 5 pounds 7 ounces, so you can imagine seeing this little twig literally laying there. And he had IVs hooked up to him, and just all these like little cuffs and monitors, the EKG, or not EKG, but all these things just attached to him everywhere. So that was just terrible to see. I really hated that. The nurse comes in, she kind of just explains everything. She's like, we have him hooked up to basically sugar water. It's slowly dripping in to his IV, and it's gonna basically help him, his insulin just start processing better and all that jazz, and just get his blood sugar getting higher. Every day his blood sugars were getting better, and that was amazing. But eventually they found another problem. His bilirubin levels were really high or low. Basically he had like jaundice, not severely, but it was popping up. So they had a Billy blanket on him. It was basically this a blue light blanket, and he had little goggles on and everything. So now, you know, it almost felt like we took a step back, because his blood sugar levels were getting better, but now he has this that we have to deal with. So both the things, it was just a lot to take in. And eventually I was discharged from our room. I had asked to be discharged early because I wasn't in the room. I was literally in the NICU with him whenever I could be if I wasn't eating or something. I come in one day and they had a tube in his nose, and I was just like, what now? What now is happening with my child? Like, are you kidding me? Like, and I was just crying when I saw that too. I was crying with everything. Anything they did to my kid, I was crying. But it was just basically a feeding tube. So if he didn't finish eating his bottles, they said they were gonna put it down the tube. They hadn't done it yet. And then also they used it to check. They had like a little syringe thing, and they would suck up some of the food from his stomach to see what's left in there, if he's processing it well. And luckily he was, and he was finishing his bottles, so they never had to use the feeding tube, which was great, because I felt like that's really invasive and just, I don't know, that just seems so sad, and I would not have been able to watch that. And at this time, I believe it was like every day. No, they never told us an estimate of when we'll be able to take him home, which was just that much more worse. So I was just like, our baby's gonna be in here forever. I'm over it. I just want to go home with him. I just want to have my time with him, because still to this time, like, I haven't held my baby. Like, he has all these wires, so I have to like accommodate to holding him a certain way, which is fine. I did it, but I just wanted to like have something be normal and just enjoy something, because my pregnancy was so rough that I thought, oh, once he's out, like, I can enjoy him, like, everything's fine, like, my gestational diabetes is gone, I can eat. In the NICU, they had like this camera above his little bed, so everybody, they had like a little username and password, and if you logged onto the site, it would have a live camera on him, so I could see him 24/7 unless the nurse is feeding him or something, unless he wasn't in the bassinet. Basically, that's when they would turn it off, or if they were changing his diaper, they would turn it off. So it was pretty nice, because when we would come home at night, we can just go on our phones and log on, and we would see him. So it was a little bit more peaceful, but not the same as having my baby in the same room as me at home. Well, on the 19th, my boyfriend and I get there, and the nurse all of a sudden comes in, and she was just like, so we're getting discharged today. And I was just like, wait, what? Like, we're getting discharged? Like, I was not ready for that. That's pretty much like the labor, delivery, and the NICU experience. And what I mean by they took my child away, I just feel robbed of his first week of birth. You know, since birth, it really sucks, and I will never have that time back. And I don't know if I'll ever accept that, and I guess hopefully the next kid doesn't have to go to the NICU and I can enjoy it. But I do not take any time for granted at this point with my child. I am so blessed. I am so thankful, you know, that he is healthy. He is completely normal. The doctor did say that he thinks he may have been younger than we originally thought, as far as like, I wasn't 39 weeks when I was induced. I was technically 37, because he said, the doctor had said he is completely normal for a baby that's born at 37 weeks. He has all the things that are happening to a baby that is born prematurely at 37 weeks. And when he said that, it made complete sense, because at all my ultrasounds, they would always say I was 2 weeks behind, I was 2 weeks behind. So maybe I had a really irregular, or I do have a really irregular period, so that's probably true, and I feel really bad. But I mean, how would we have known? We don't, because you just go off your last period, and I knew I was right on that date, so maybe he was just conceived on a different day than we actually thought. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!